Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of
A Fan's Perspective.
This week, guys, we are taking a break from our Legend of Korra discussion because this past Saturday, a pretty big event happened in the pop culture nerd world. DC Fandome, basically an online convention for DC fans, popped up, dropped a ton of trailers of movies and video games. And I don't know if they showed any of their animated stuff, but I know we got plenty of movies and video games. And joining us today to talk about the Fandome experience, because she's one of the few people I know who actually sat through and watched the whole thing.
Special guest in the building.
Is my friend Brandy Collins.
Hey.
Brandy, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. You know, you put me on blast because I just realized the whole thing is like 24 hours a little bit, so I was like, dang, I really did sit through most of my day watching it.
Oh yeah, you're a better person than me.
Yeah, both Shelby and I were just like, you know, we can just wait for the trailers to drop on YouTube. They'll show up really quickly.
Funny enough, we really didn't even have a conversation about it, and the reason why that is because I really didn't take it seriously. Which I'm happy I didn't, because I was pleasantly surprised by a lot of the trailers that I saw. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't take it seriously until Brandy, you texted me saying, I don't like how Cheetah looks. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Did they
hate making everybody think I'm negative? That's cold. That's cold.
Here we go. No.
But Brandy, if you could tell us kind of what that experience was like, because I haven't attended any fan panels or anything, or fan virtual conventions, just because I feel like I could do better things with my time than sit and watch effectively a glorified Zoom call.
I promise you, he's still going to mismanage his time. I promise you. But please tell us about your experience.
I feel like I kind of agree. Like, I really didn't take it. I didn't have like high hopes for it, because I was like, well, nothing is really in production, so like they can't show us anything, which proved to be true for like certain panels. Like Shazam was like really late in the day, and then it was just like I literally just sat here, and all you did was just pull up a poster with a movie title. So you have that, but I think overall it was fine. I think what helped them out is they also had the video game coverage to go along with the films. But I mean, other than that, it was just interesting to kind of, like I said, sit through most of my day to watch things where I knew like trailers would be put up in like seconds. But it did feel like Zoom called, and it was just really odd, because then they had split it up where like some people did the little fan questions. So I guess they already had people like calling in for whatever, leaving like video messages and having the panelists like answer. But I think it's just general, I hate fan Q&As anyway. And I think I agree with you. They're kind of rough most of the time. Yeah, I've been to like plenty of conventions too, and it's just always
the same questions.
I try and like hold back my judgment, because it's like I don't know.
It's always people that kind of. It's always people that kind of can't like. You feel like they don't know how to like talk to people in real life, and you're just kind of sitting there like, man, did you really need to ask that question? Like, they can't even really answer it.
Yeah, or just like it could have just stuck in the noggin or the journal, or however people like express themselves. But then also the moderators kind of ask stupid questions too, so it's kind of like I would just prefer, as you get up there, you tell me, give me some secrets behind like your filmmaking technique. Like, did you use practical effects on Cheetah, or did you just put her in a mocap suit? Like, that's stuff I wanted to know. Nobody was like answering that. And then we get the trailer, which, you know, I did have issues with it. I'm coming around though the more I look at it, but yeah, like I said, like overall it was like really good. Like, some stuff I was really excited about, but then some things it was just like, oh, okay, maybe next time they'll really get it together.
Now did they have cast members and celebrities actually at the, like, were they on the panels? Like, did Gal Gadot like talk about Wonder Woman, or was it
Yeah. So for Wonder Woman, I guess since that's the one that's like the furthest along, or like it was supposed to have been out a while ago. So like everybody was on there, and then how they had her that panel was like other people were like popping in, and like Venus Williams popped in and said something, and then the Linda Carter Wonder Woman actress, she popped up in there. But it was pretty much they were all it was just really weird seeing floating heads versus like walking down the waving, but whatever. So yeah, they were in there popping in. The one interesting panel though was the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just like they kind of just embraced like the absurdity of like, okay, we're literally just going to be talking heads and cameras. They kind of were just like, let's kind of weave in like getting everyone to see how the cast work, and then also just for them, I basically like we know this is going to be boring, but let us at least have fun, basically pubbing. So they were doing some creative, funny, I guess, kind of thing. So that one wasn't as like annoying as like, oh, I'm sitting on a Zoom call. But the Shazam one was just awkward, which is like dang, like one of my favorite movies, and it was just like okay. The Black Adam one, it was literally just The Rock being himself, just talking and trying to convince me that he would be a good Black Adam. But that's a whole other thing I'm trying to...
Yeah,
we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
And that was really much it in like the movies. The television panels, those were a little bit better, I guess, because it's more those CW shows have like way more people on the cast versus like Wonder Woman, it was like 4 people. So that was pretty good. But yeah, it just went up and down. It just went up and down. The video game ones were cool too, because at least you saw the stuff and kind of were just more looking like, oh, how's the gameplay dynamics? But that's pretty much how it went.
Okay, cool. That I'm glad that it was at least an enjoyable experience for people, and that it was something unique. Because let's be real here, it's not the same as going to an actual Comic-Con or a real conference, which both of you have attended, by the way. You're the only you're 2 out of 3 people I know who have gone to Comic-Con in person. I have not had that.
Oh wait, San Diego?
San Diego.
Oh man.
So yeah,
stressful, but I loved it.
Oh yeah. So well, okay. I'm glad you loved it. Uncle Andre's. I will shout out to Uncle Andre. Shout out to Dreadlocks. It's a comic book series that has been going on for years. Check that out if you're interested in like Egyptian mythology and this superhero named Dreadlock. Had to put a shout out there, but Uncle Andre did give me the best advice, and I recently told this to somebody. I do agree that you should go to San Diego Comic-Con to check it out, but I do believe, I haven't gone yet, that New York Comic-Con is probably the superior experience. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that for all of our listeners. If you have to decide between the two of them, probably you should go to New York. So yeah,
I'll do one even better and suggest, because I've been to New York Comic Con too, and that was really good. But also C2E2, usually the springtime in Chicago. I think that was the best one at all.
I've heard great things about C2E2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really like that one.
Hopefully come 2022, because I still don't know how 2021 is going to work out. We're only
we going to be out there, boy.
Yeah, what you talking about? 2021, I don't know about that, man. It's still a little iffy for me. But 2022 is hopefully when things will be completely back to normal and all these different conventions will be running in full force. So those are some ones that people should definitely try to check out, even though I'm sure they're going to sell out of tickets within the first day they go live. But we'll have to see. But kind of moving on from the convention itself to the meat and potatoes of what we got. We got a lot of trailers this weekend, guys. Like a lot of trailers. So there's a lot to talk about. That's more than we've gotten. I feel like that's more than we've had from a singular event
I mean,
all
no,
year.
you're not wrong. Yeah, I get it. Like it is interesting to. One of them I don't really count as well. It is a trailer.
It's
Go
a trailer.
on,
We got some concept art. But
no.
Let's start off with the first one. We'll kind of go in order. At least we'll do movies and then we'll move on to video games. The first one I want to talk about is this Wonder Woman trailer. Wonder Woman 1984. Supposed to be out in June. Then got pushed back to August. Then got pushed back to who knows when.
But it's coming out.
It's ready.
October, right?
It's coming out.
Maybe. The big thing is we just kind of have to hope that theaters are open and that
they are.
Where the only not here in Michigan.
Yeah, they are. Like Tenet is showing here.
Where?
I just saw they said in Detroit. So I don't know if that's the drive-through.
It has to be the drive-in because
I just saw that Warner Brothers will only allow drive-in showings for Tenet if there are indoor theaters showing Tenet.
Yeah.
So it's got to be somebody open somewhere.
Yeah, they're showing Tenet. Like I was just reading something about it. To where it's happening and like they're going live with this theater, so they know something we don't.
They have to because movie fans have kind of been like, so how are we going to get this film? Like how are we going to see this? But
that and New Mutants is going to be, and I know New Mutants is going to be in drive-throughs, but it's also going to be in theaters as well.
So yeah. Anyway,
we're
talking about Wonder Woman.
So I was going to say I'll start off. With this one,
go ahead.
I sent the trailer to you when it dropped. Obviously, we didn't see it. You know, Miss Brandy saw it first, but I enjoyed it. I do have. I think our gripes are the opposites. Well, it's like a mirror image of it. I enjoy everything about the Wonder Woman trailer. There is one thing that is not selling me, and it's not Cheetah. Well, technically it is. It's Kristen Wiig.
I was going to actually say I'm going to need to see her in that role just because I can only see her, and I don't mean to typecast her, I don't, but she's been so great in comedies. I haven't really seen her in any other position, especially that as a villain. Yeah, so well, don't get me wrong, plenty of comedians have done great jobs in the past as superhero villains. Like Jim Carrey specifically is known for his role as Riddler in the Batman movies, but that's
just Jim Carrey. But
fair.
But just to finish my statement, isn't she okay? I don't want to be judged here because I'm not trying to be mean to her, but she seems like she's a little older than what the role requires. I was looking at the trailer and I noticed there's like a scene of her running. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's like a hot 40-year-old jog right there. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, but she's supposed to be playing she's supposed to be, like she says in the trailer, an apex predator. And so as far as her flexibility, or even the little fight clip they show between her and Wonder Woman and her walking up and supposedly like all confident and sexy Cheetah now, like, I wasn't sold on that. But now the CGI version of Cheetah, I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool to see. And I think I can tell where you were going in the beginning, where you were kind of talking about Cheetah. Is DC. They're still going to patch out. I think they're still going to work on that CGI before it gets to theaters, hopefully. It didn't look...
a year.
Yep. Yep. Trust me. I know. I understand. So hopefully they just patch that up. I think I can see it being a little crisper. But overall, I love Gal Gadot. I love Chris Pine. Yeah, I love Chris Pine back. The colors of the movie are very, defined and distinct, which is a good thing for the DC franchise. I like everything I'm seeing. So I love Pedro Pascal. You can cast him in anything, and I'm like, yeah, I'm down for that cause. Like, I just love that guy. Shout outs to Oberyn Martell, but so I am excited. I'm not the biggest Wonder Woman fan. Like, I am a fan of Wonder Woman, but as far as the film franchise goes, I'm like, as long as it's entertaining, I'm good with it. So those are my overall thoughts on that trailer.
And Brandy, what about you?
Uh, I'll try not to be long-winded. But I think I just love Wonder Woman like so much. Like I love her so much. So there really wasn't much they could have did like wrong for me just off of the strength of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like that this movie seems to be like embracing colors a lot more, which is why I was irritated when the big fight with her and Cheetah, which I'm assuming that is going to be the big fight in the third act, is at night. Because then I'm like, okay, are they only fighting at night because the CGI is a little wonky? So you need the blue gray scale to kind of not make it so obvious that it's got a little cat thing going on. But yeah, like it didn't take much for me to be in. I am a little upset they made Pedro Pascal look a little less like Pedro Pascal. I don't know what that wig was for.
The wig is a lot. It's definitely a lot.
How do you make him less attractive? Why do you do that?
True. I guess that's what they're going for, though.
I guess.
My question is, who is he going to end up being? Because there's always like a third person type deal, and he's like the wish maker in this movie apparently. So I wonder what villain or what character because I haven't looked up any details. Do you know by chance who he's supposed to be?
I do. I don't. Did you want to know?
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh, okay. From what they're doing, I feel like I already know the plot of what they're trying to do.
Spoiler alert.
Pascal is to be Max Lord, and I know he does have like some kind of mind control type things. I won't spoil the big story that he's in that involves Wonder Woman, which is why I was excited. But I don't think they're gonna do the thing.
So I could see. Yeah, I don't think after the whole Superman Man of Steel debacle they're gonna go that route. But it is cool that you bring that up. Okay, that's interesting. So it could be a. CJ's looking to the left, like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, this is another reason why I wanted you two on the podcast.
I made the mistake, even though it's not DC, but I made the mistake of like really hinting to like my brother when we went to see Far From Home, the Spider-Man movie with Mysterio, and I was like talking all that junk, and I was like, man, they're trying really hard to convince me that Mysterio is like gonna be this mentor, this hero. Like I already know the jig, and my brother didn't know like anything, and I was like, oh. So I'm not gonna spoil that.
So CJ, all I'm gonna say is Maxwell Lord is he's a villain in DC Comics, and him and Wonder Woman do have a very interesting interaction that happens like right before Infinite Crisis.
Okay,
and it leads into Infinite, and you know how much of a big deal that whole thing was. Yeah. So okay, cool. Because now I could see it as.
Wait, is he the one that like she basically?
Hey, chill. You thinking too? We purposely went around that. So
okay,
chill.
okay. I'll chill. I'll ask after the pod is over.
Newcomer here, but so with that knowledge.
I don't think they're gonna bait and switch like anything more than he should just be him.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting if he does have his power set that he has in the books, how that now changes the film up and all of these. But they are going to fight. Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So yeah, my basic thoughts on the trailer. I don't know as much about the Wonder Woman comics as you guys do. Both of you have read a good portion of them. I have not. But overall, I'm looking forward to it. I think Wonder Woman is easily one of the top 3 DC films that have come out in the past decade. I really like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I think she was perfectly cast for the role, and I really trust the whole team behind the Wonder Woman franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really worry. The only issue I had with the first movie was the fight scene wasn't that great between her and Hades in the last film, so I'm really hoping...
No, the
Ares.
third act in Wonder Woman is just not good, and that's the only thing that keeps it from being a 100% perfect movie. Like, I will go to my deathbed talking about that third act will ruin me. Like, this 1984 better have a good third act, and I think it will. So don't get me started.
All I'm gonna say about the third act of Wonder Woman is, I think the whole sacrifice of Steve Trevor worked. I think that worked very well.
I think that worked.
Yeah, but the whole, they had this thing when they were committed to their franchise of like every third act is gonna be a big boss battle, and we're gonna CGI it up, and so yeah. All right, what's next on the docket?
Next up is I kind of wanted to save... Actually, no. We'll save this one for the last discussion of the films because it's easily the most controversial, and I want to save some time for that. So next up, we're going to talk about the movie that...
Is it Flash?
No. You know what I'm talking about. We're gonna hold off. Next up, we're going to talk about the movie that... And the trailer, I think, surprised a lot of people. One, because I didn't know they had shot enough to actually give us a trailer. Because they were in the midst of production when the pandemic went into full scale lockdown, but also because I was questioning the casting when it first happened. But the Batman looks great. Like, that trailer was easily the most surprising trailer of the whole that we got out of all the films, in my opinion.
What are your thoughts, Brandy?
I definitely agree. I was very like I know, like, my brother has this big rant about it, about Robert Pattinson being cast specifically as Batman. I was very ambivalent towards it because I feel like no one they're gonna cast ever is going to be as great as Michael Keaton, because Michael Keaton understood there's two different characters he's being cast as versus the other ones. They're either a good Bruce Wayne or they're a good Batman. They're never both. So putting that aside, I actually really liked the footage that they had put in that trailer showing off the kind of the duality of both. And I was excited that when he said "I'm vengeance," the voice seems just like a normal
it's not the
voice.
it's not the
whoa.
It's not the Christian Bale Batman, basically.
I hate it. Or even the Ben Affleck that serial killer on the phone modulator voice. I'm good, just growl it out. But no, I was very excited, even though I'm okay, another Batman movie, and I don't have this Zatanna or Justice League Dark, but that's fine. But,
I have said that as well.
Yeah,
all these great characters. We're doing Batman again because
we're doing Batman. Then I was they're gonna sneak in Joker before I get Poison Ivy or a proper Talia and Ra's al Ghul. There's just so much of the Batman mythos they don't get to because we're stuck on the other one. So that's why I was happy that Riddler seems to be the main villain.
Yeah.
And I like Paul Dano anyway. And if you want to check out maybe what I think he's gonna do, go watch Prisoners.
Yep.
By Denis Villeneuve. I think
with
that's
Hugh
by
Jackman.
Yeah.
He
did some real creepy stuff in there. Which so David Fincher is one of my favorite filmmakers ever. So the Batman seems to be very much in the vein of Fincher. So I was just excited off of that, and how you were saying earlier, I didn't realize that they shot that much. I know he said 25%, but they got a very clear through line to craft a trailer. But I was very excited until I realized that was Colin Farrell. Then I was oh no. But then I was happy. Because he's not a bad actor. So I'm if you make his role less about how great he looks, then he's really good.
Yeah, and not to mention, I fully believe that he's gonna be a good Penguin.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Cobblepot is, in my opinion, one of the more interesting villains because he looks so ridiculous and he really shouldn't be a threat to anyone. But if you get the right cast, if you get the right person cast as him, and you give it the right script, the Penguin can be darn right terrifying because of how he is as a person. So I think that they got the right actor for the role, and like you said, it doesn't even look like him. Like I
didn't even know he was in the trailer.
Yeah,
in all honesty.
That's Oscar. That's like their front runner for Oscar, like for like makeup, like right there. Because I'm like, oh, look at that random man until like they're like Colin Farrell as Penguin. It's like, who? That's what?
Yeah, it's nuts. But the thing that I actually gives me the most hope about all of this, one, the first, like when we see Robert Pattinson in the cape and the cowl beating the tar out of what looked like a Joker henchman, which makes me think that Joker's going to be in this in some capacity.
I hope not. I swear I'll walk out. I will walk out.
I'm sorry, guys. There's no reason for him to beat up someone in clown makeup unless they work for the Joker. Like, I don't.
I was just gonna say, just to add my 2 cents there. I know the Joker is gonna be affiliated in some shape or form. I just don't need him to be in the movie. You can mention him, throw a little Easter egg. That's completely fine. But don't make this move. Don't you? Arkham Beginnings or Batman? What was the name of that game?
Arkham Asylum. Arkham Origins.
Don't you Arkham Origins us? Don't you do that where all the promotional material is everything
everyone but Joker, and then Joker was the main villain.
A whole half of the game turns out. Surprise! Don't you do that to me, because then I'll be like, I want my money back. But I just wanted to say I thought it was a good trailer overall. It was very surprising, but it was a very well made trailer. I don't think Robert Pattinson, from what we saw, it does Bruce Wayne justice, but I don't really care about Bruce Wayne, and as I've explained to you before, CJ, DC isn't really even about the mild-mannered alter ego, so he looks good as Batman. He moved well as Batman. The Batmobile and how the engine look beautiful. The style and tone of the film look up, like up to par for a solo Batman film. So I'm excited. I mean, as much as I can be for another Batman story, like Brandy was saying, maybe we'll get a hint towards Poison Ivy. Maybe, a Clayface hint. Who knows? Maybe they'll utilize that Rose Gallery a little bit more. But unfortunately, people in clown makeup make money. So
look at the Joker. The Joker film
literally just broke a record, so he's going to be nodded to, in some shape or form.
Now, what's funny is I do remember on our Joker podcast, Shelby, you said that this movie could be related to the Joker, like this could be like essentially 10 years later after the Joker occurs.
I can see.
Like they'll find some way to wedge.
To wedge.
Connection?
Yeah.
I can see them.
God, I hope not. Oh. Please goodness, I hope not.
What's next? What we got next?
One thing I just also want to say, part of the reason why I am looking forward to that movie more than anything else is because Matt Reeves is directing it. Matt Reeves is in charge of was in charge of the last 2 films of one of my favorite franchises. He did War for the Planet of the Apes and he did basically the last 2 Planet of the Apes films for the reboot trilogy. And he's great. I can't.
He's excellent. Good.
I can't.
He's been trying to get this Batman film going for a while, so it is good to see it finally come to light. But yeah, that's a heck of a resume to be coming in with. Like, hey, I did this Planet of the Apes series that was fire.
Yeah, the thing with a bunch of mocap where the main character was basically acting like a monkey that could talk that everyone fell in love with. No. I did that.
No. Anyways, what we got?
Up next, we have, it's up to you guys. We can either talk about the Black Adam teaser trailer that was, not even teaser trailer, more like the Black Adam animated motion strip. Yeah. Or we can talk about or we can talk about the Suicide Squad Sizzler reel, I guess, where you got to meet the cast and the characters that are a part of it. So which one do you guys want to tackle first?
I'll leave it
I
up
feel like
to
I
our
have
guests.
controversial takes on both, so I'm down for whichever
All right,
one.
let's get into Black Adam first then.
All right. Well, I'll start.
Go ahead.
I am not impressed. I am not impressed with it. I felt like personally, if you guys hadn't shot anything yet, don't put it out. Or maybe you could do a panel with The Rock talking about again because he's mentioned it before how excited he is to play this character and how they talked it out and they were like, well, we weren't going to introduce you in Shazam, but we wanted you to get The Rock, I'm pretty sure, sat down, was like, no, why don't we do our own movie? And okay, cool. I could see them introducing Black Adam, Isis, and Osiris possibly, or giving nods to that whole mythos. I'll be happy to see that. What I am not looking forward to, from what they showed me, and this is why I wish they would have, like how they did with the Batman and the Suicide Squad, if they would have presented me with something that was already done, or they could at least show them in the suit, maybe that would have worked for me versus this little live action comic reel thing. Because what that shows me is The Rock he's excited about it. I'm excited with him for it because it is an awesome character. But the direction where they're going with the Justice Society, no, thank you. No, it's a no, thank you for me. I love when they said Hawkman was in it. I was down because I like the whole Hawkman Shira story. But then they were like Dr. Fate, and I'm like, okay, I mess with Dr. Fate. I can get down with Dr. Fate. Then it was like Cyclone. I'm like, is that supposed to be Red Tornado and just live? I'm like, okay. Then they like Atom Smasher, and I'm like, oh, okay, Atom Smasher's here. Okay, what's he doing here? Justice Society. We do not need this. This is where I went with that. So, and they're like, Black Adam may be he may be working with him. He may not be. I'm like, what happened to the whole Kondak story?
You guys are talking about I guess I'm confused. I don't remember seeing this in
You didn't watch the full thing.
I guess
sent you a video about it today.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't see that. I watched what The Rock posted to his Instagram page, which did not have anything about the Justice Society in it.
Yeah, it like so. What I was expecting was this story about Black Adam and Kondak in the Egyptian era, and how he gets his powers and how he leads his people to freedom, but he's kind of he's an anti-hero, and then that leads to him being sealed away by Shazam, and then maybe Shazam 2 is what I was thinking. But what they presented seems like the movie is going to be taking place in modern times, roughly in modern times. Yeah, because Atom Smasher was there, which when he got out. Yeah, and he's out, and then it's about his journey to free Kondak as this superhero, superpowered person already. And I was like, and then No Rock speaking normally throughout the whole thing. I'm like, you don't got no accent in it, fam? Like Black Adam got a little bit. He got a little bit of accent on him.
He does, but I'm okay with The Rock not trying to put on an accent because I don't think that's his bag.
True, I agree. I'm just saying. We might stretch him too far. I 100% agree. He is charismatic. He is good looking. All I'm saying is this trailer, because you only showed me it was a voiceover and some animation of some stuff that I don't really care about. Like, it didn't sell it for me, and that's how I feel about it.
That's fair. I need to watch the latter half. I guess I feel really bad that I didn't see that portion.
The Justice Society. Well, I'm gonna tell him my version of justice. Well, come on, do better. You better come harder than that. That's all.
Nobody changes like how JSA is. Like, you just leave JSA as like this old retro group. I feel like if you want to make tweaks of whatever your idea is, you do that with Justice League or like whatever they splinter off into. But yeah, I guess I'm glad my take will be as controversial then, because we're all kind of on the same page. That's kind of like how I felt. And that's where I was kind of leading at like earlier, where I said some of the fandom like experience kind of is a letdown. Like, I think the worst offender of all is the Aquaman panel. If you can call it panel, but the
I didn't
Aquaman
know
one
they
was
had
bad.
one.
It
I can tell.
literally, it's
That's
like they
the
didn't even
reason.
have Momoa on there. It was like James Wan and like Patrick Wilson who played Orm. They were just chatting it up about the first movie, and then it was just casually like, yeah, you may not be in like handcuffs in Aquaman 2 for a long time, or will you? Like that was literally it about Aquaman 2. But the Black Adam one I think was kind of another big offender because it was just kind of like, if you like, the least y'all could have done, like, because they were supposed to be in production before COVID, so like y'all should at least had a cast.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Adam Smasher, like especially like a Hawkman, like that's a big deal.
That's
like,
a big role, yeah.
And Dr. Fate, because
yeah, those are huge roles.
You should have been had that because I mean people will look to see Black Adam, I guess, because of The Rock, but like some other people are like, no, you say Dr. Fate, I want to know who so I can judge before this movie comes out.
Of course, that's as is custom, as is custom to judge.
I mean, because in my head, I only see Oded Ferrer as Dr. Fate, and that's just because he voices him like really well. So like, I already just needed that judgment out the way. But yeah, I was a little like, I really wish the movie would have just been the story that was given in Shazam. That basically was like, hey, we're telling you a story about Black Adam, and that's why we're very picky about who gets to be the next Shazam. So I really wish that movie would have just been that, because I think for Black Adam, for him to know him as the anti-hero, that like he's literally an anti-hero, it's because he's like so ruthless in whatever conviction he has.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you make the contact stuff like the first act basically, and then you want to get into the first act, I mean later on with like JSA, it's kind of like
it seems like it's too much. It's too much in one film.
Because like the reason why like he got like such the hammer thrown on him from the other Shazam is because of like how he decided to get retribution from the situation he was in and freeing conduct and then trying to rule over them. Like he is so devoted to that play. I don't know. And I don't trust The Rock to really act that well through that. So it's like the more time you could have spent with that story, I could buy it versus like just easily like whipping that up. So like, I mean, I'll still see it.
That's
right.
That's
like
the thing.
You gotta support, but it's like at the same time.
But John
like
gave
I said,
nothing.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be too much in one movie. When it doesn't, you were talking about Shazam earlier. Shazam, the film is such a simple film. Even as far as where they go, they stay in this like pretty much the same city until they go to the realm of magic the entire time. So it just seems like they're going a lot of places. And this is not even from a real trailer. This is from a cartoon animation slideshow. So
yeah, I will definitely say I was hoping we would have gotten some kind of like at least The Rock in a costume. That would have been at least helpful.
That's all they
to
needed.
Get. Like it's The Rock. He's going to like you cast him in anything, you're going to make your money back. But it would have been nice to at least get something to make fans a bit more excited. But we'll hopefully. It seems like production of everything is starting to pick back up, especially when it's not in the United States. Like England's in great shape right now. They're doing everything. It's just us that can't seem to get everything together. But we'll have to just kind of wait and see what happens with Black Adam. Hopefully it's good. I like the character, so we'll just have to wait and see.
I wish they would have had Shayera in it. I don't know why you think Hawkman is such a good guy to have on his own. Like I feel like he's super boring, but we'll see what they do with him in the movie.
I don't understand why a Justice Society is in the movie. I don't think any of them should be there. I think that Shayera and Carter should maybe had their own movie together. why we're doing this Justice Society thing in the Black Adam movie, who's already a spinoff from somebody else. I don't know. But I agree with you there. I just think Carter and Shayera both have a cool story together. And if you introduce Carter, you're going to introduce Shayera at some point. Hopefully, that depending on if this does well. But yeah. So what's next, CJ? What you got?
What's next is the sequel to one of the most critically panned films of the past few years, and a film that you two vehemently disagree on. I've had multiple discussions with both of you about Suicide Squad, and I'm interested to see what you guys both thought about I'll call it a sizzler reel because we didn't really get a trailer. We got more like a behind. There were two things where they showed each character that's going to be in this sequel, and then they also showed like a behind the scenes kind of thing.
Yeah.
But neither of them really showed the plot of the movie.
Of course not.
So, I just kind of wondering what you guys thoughts on the Suicide Squad is, and just kind of like where you think the film's going to go and what you think of the casting. Brandy, I guess you can go first.
Yeah.
I'll let Brandy go first.
Yeah, like you said, I hated Oscar-winning Suicide Squad with like the utmost passion.
Hey, at least you gave it its respect by now acknowledging it. Oscar.
that one Oscar is so progressively like respected, but surprisingly, I'm not at all excited, and I wasn't impressed with anything they were doing with the Suicide Squad. I really do think that was a great get to get Amanda Waller. I mean, to get Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. That would be the only reason why I would watch the second one, but I don't know if I would want to do that to myself. I'm really happy though that he dug really deep to the Ostrander Suicide Squad team. So, but I'm also not at all attached to any of them because it's too many of them, and I already know storytelling magic that not all of them are going to stick around. But I don't really care for it. But it looks like it would be better than Suicide Squad. You know, I just hope Harley Quinn is done well, especially after coming from, I think, the perfect film of Birds of Prey. And I don't really trust James Gunn to write her well. Well, really women well, but women, especially like Harley Quinn, where they have personalities because of what he did with Laura. So that's also why I'm not really looking forward to seeing that. You know, I don't want to see DC's Guardians of the Galaxy, which I feel like that's why they got him.
That's the whole reason why they got him, because the theme, the way they were promoting the original Suicide Squad was that it was going to be their own version of Guardians, kind of, and
now they really got it.
Now they've basically got their own thing going, and I mean, I love the first Guardians, but I'll even admit that the second one was boring. So
the second one was awful.
Fair.
Well, I guess I'll chime in. So I was not impressed with the introduction to the characters. I was surprised because, you know what, I had heard that there were going to be a ton of characters in this film, and I didn't really take it seriously. I'm like, oh, they'll write some of them out, but no, there are actually all of these characters from these unique and different actors. And what did make me push me over on the excited, or not even, I won't use the word excited. I'm interested in this movie. As CJ said, I think he adds a bunch of like extra to it. I did enjoy the first Suicide Squad. I won't lie. Me, him, and our other friend Walter went to go see it. Walked out. I asked him directly. I said, CJ, was it that bad? He's like, no, it's not really that bad. Like, it is not the greatest movie in the world. I won't argue that. But it's not to me personally, it's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. There are definitely worse films in the superhero genre. That being said, this movie, I like am less excited for the characters that are going to be in it. But the thing that made me interested in this film was the behind the scenes little look thing. And the reason that did is because everybody seems like they're having a good time with this movie. Everyone is seeming to be enjoying playing these weird like characters that most of us haven't heard of, or most people haven't heard of. Margot Robbie, who has been, contractually obligated to stick with Harley Quinn, seems like she's having a good time, especially after her movie and how it was received. Because I heard you say you really enjoyed Birds of Prey.
Oh yeah.
And I can appreciate that because I didn't like. That's another movie I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out.
Yeah, I enjoyed Birds of Prey. I thought it was hilarious, and I thought Margot Robbie did a great job. But
yeah, don't get me wrong.
We knew other people that didn't.
I understand, like, it's not a perfect film, but I don't think it's as bad as it's made out to be. And so Margot Robbie's on board, and everybody seemed like they were having a good time with this ensemble cast, and that at least tells me more than like Pacific Rim Uprising. Like that right there.
Oh my God.
That if the actors are at the very least enjoying themselves and they're like, yeah, this is fun and we're doing something different and so on and so forth, then I can at least go and see it and be like, you know what, I can appreciate the work that they put in, because to them, and James Gunn looked like he's having a good time after his whole debacle. Now, will he change up Harley Quinn? I think Harley Quinn as a character in their live action universe is too big not to have like a major starring role as herself for him to alter her in any way. Like Gamora was unknown to the majority of the live action viewing community, so they had to do with her whatever she wanted. But I feel like Margot Robbie, from what I've seen from her, will input, hey, this is something Harley would do, or this is how Harley would react instead of that. And she's a big enough star to kind of get those changes. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw from the Suicide Squad. Not saying I'm like, yeah, this is it. But I was pleasantly surprised to see like just that number of characters. They're actually putting that many characters in this film. Yeah, like you were saying, not all of them are going to make it to the end because it's a Suicide Squad. But,
and not all of them are being played by like major mega star actors. I hate to say it that way, but like I can kind of tell by just the cast. Like pretty sure Idris Elba, John Cena, Margot Robbie, and
they're gonna surprise you.
I feel like some of them are gonna at least live through it.
Sometimes now these stars like to show up for these quick little scenes and get
True.
their paychecks and die
Mickey Rourke.
and be done.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke is in it. Old dude, what's his name? The comedian.
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
Oh my God, yeah.
I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, look at all these like major stars. But if they're enjoying it, I'll be like, okay, I can go see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot just because I'm not gonna act like I didn't love Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm gonna go see it just because I do think James Gunn is talented. Right. Yeah. But I will also agree that his female character writing could be better. But I think luckily Margot Robbie has at least already done a lot with the Harley Quinn character, and therefore can make it a little bit more.
She has some pull there.
Yeah, she should be able to at least do more with the role than maybe Zoe Saldana was able to do with Gamora when Guardians first dropped. But overall, I'm interested. Again, I kind of wish we could have seen more of a trailer of like what they'll actually be doing, but we'll just have to wait and see.
It's a suicide mission, man.
True. True.
That's what's going on.
I think that was also part of the issue that I had with the first film, was that like I thought they were going to be doing something completely different than what they ended up doing in the first Suicide Squad, and I hope that they don't pull that 180 on us. We're like, oh, one of the Suicide Squad main characters is the actual villain. I hope that like we have a set person they're trying to take down this time. Like that would be interesting, at least in my opinion. But now to the most controversial of the trailers that dropped. Not because people aren't excited for this film. There's a whole cult, TV series. There's a whole cult following for this next
that made it happen.
That made this occur, and it's gonna be interesting to really see what happens, because I at first wasn't sure how I felt about it. Now I'm really intrigued. So let's get into it, guys. The Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League.
Release the Snyder cut.
The Snyder cut, for people that don't know, is basically Zack Snyder's original vision for the Justice League movie.
It's not.
Okay. Well, it's what's being pitched as, if that makes sense. So for people who might not know, the Justice League was mainly almost 90% done with production when Zack Snyder was effectively let go from Warner Brothers, and replaced.
No, it was less than that.
It was okay.
I think a good chunk was done before he and his wife stepped away because of the incident with his family.
Yeah, his daughter.
But I think also he had a good enough amount. Like when I was reading stories about it back in the day, he had a good amount done, because even when he was testing it with Warner Brothers execs, they were all nervous. So.
Yeah. So, but basically, he ends up stepping away from it because of the passing of his daughter, and then they bring in Joss Whedon to come in and finish production. Joss Whedon ends up reshooting a ton of stuff. He reshoots so much that people are kind of wondering hey, is this really what we were supposed to get? And this big kind of cult following starts growing, because you start hearing from actors, you start hearing from even Ben Affleck kind of gets behind this, and Gal Gadot gets behind this momentum to #release the Snyder Cut. And after years and years of fans asking for it, during a rewatch of Batman vs Superman on Twitter that Snyder was holding, he announced that HBO Max will be bringing the Snyder Cut to life, and we are now getting a different version of the Justice League they just dropped the first trailer for it, and I don't know if this is just all new stuff, because I swear I didn't see any of those scenes in the Justice League when I first saw the movie.
Some of them were definitely filmed with the original film, and they just weren't included. Some of them are new. Because they have been reshooting for a couple months now. I'm not sure the exact time frame in which, but some of the scenes are old and some of them are brand new.
So yeah, basically you were getting a whole new 4-part miniseries of what is essentially the proper quote unquote sequel to Batman vs Superman, and there's a lot of people that are really hyped and happy for it, and then there are some other people that don't think this thing should exist at all. So we're gonna get into that a little bit.
I'm interested in hearing about
that. Do we want to do the positive aspect, or do we want to do the negative aspect first? Which one do we want to get into?
I think Brandon, you just give your opinion.
And my negative is a lot. Because I had my issue with Zack Snyder, just in general, is he is not a good storyteller. As seen through 300 with Watchmen, and then even going to Man of Steel, and then BVS, and then So I think he can craft something to look very nice, as long as it's in a sepia tone. So with me knowing that and feeling that way about him, there was just honestly no way for me to be excited about yet another chance for him to talk and be behind the camera for characters that I really love. Because when I watched it, I think I was going to tell you, CJ, I feel like it's either it's the same thing from where I feel like I saw in either the marketing campaign way before he even stepped away. So there's some footage from like their old trailers before reshoots that is popping back up, and then even like, or I just feel like it's alternate takes from something that was already done, because I feel like he's done enough to where I feel like why am I sitting here? Why are you making me sit through 4 hours? Well, not me, because I'm not watching it. Why are you gonna make people sit 4 hours of something where you tried to show it to Warner Brothers in the first place, and they were like, ugh, and then now they're basically dumbing about face, which I just think is because HBO Max just needed content and subscribers anyway, because Disney Plus got like a gajillion in like a record time. So, you know, I can't really think they're being too supportive of an artistic vision. But yeah, no, I even the trailer, I just thought it was so pompous to have another version of Hallelujah. It's I don't know. I just feel like even with Defied and Darkseid showing up, like it's still the same story. Like it's still gonna be.
Oh yeah, that is Defied.
Mother
That's
boxes.
who that was.
Yeah, it's still gonna be mother boxes and.
I thought that was old dude from
like,
Avengers. In all honesty, that's who it looked like.
But you know they have bad CGI, so it could have been anybody. But yeah, I feel like it's still the same story, and you know, I just feel like we're swapping one person's perceived misogyny, racism, sexism for another person's like take of those same like problematic like takes. So, you know, I'll have one less jumping on top of Wonder Woman or falling on top of Wonder Woman for I'm sure it's going to be another butt shot of her. So, but yay, more slow-mo and sepia tone and dourness and a costume change for Superman that's going to be random, because I know they're not going to explain exactly why he changed.
He's wearing the black suit.
Yeah, other than just the fact of like, oh, well, you know, after the death of Superman, he showed back up in a black suit and like weird facial hair. But that's the best I can sum up my ire toward this whole thing. Like, I totally respect, like, my issues with it of the Snyder Cut, like, being a thing is, like, totally so sympathetic to, like, the reason why he left, which is why I'm always just focused on, like, him as a storyteller. Like, I just feel like, why are you getting another shot at this? When chances are you weren't going to do it well anyway if you stuck with it all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I'm like 4 hours to watch the same thing with probably less jokes, less color, and a less happy Superman. But yay, people have begged for it for 2 years and got it. So I guess.
Oh, I love it. I love it. No, that's a good take. I respect it. How I feel about it and what CJ is expecting is not exactly what it is. I'm kind of indifferent to the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, I'm actually surprised by that.
Yeah, I never said I was excited for. I was one of the people that didn't want the Snyder Cut. I was like, it's over, it happened, let it go, type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but then again, at the same time, I enjoy Justice League as a movie. I am not so critical of it to the point Justice League as it's been called. I'm not so critical of it to the point to where I didn't enjoy it. I get what they were going for. Yeah, it wasn't Avengers. I get it. Like it was Justice League. That being said, I am not against the idea of the Snyder Cut because people wanted it, people demanded it. People wanted to see this original vision, and to quote Matt Pat, this should not be a failure. Not saying that it won't be. It should not be. It's being reshot. It's being re-edited. However, obviously they changed up how Steppenwolf looks, which I think is a plus. I like this look more than I like the original look. Darkseid, they showed Darkseid. That was obviously the big draw. I doubt he's going to be in it.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm actually a little bit frustrated about. Yeah, I think I'm actually really frustrated about the fact that like if it's based off of what we knew originally, Darkseid's not going to be in this.
Yeah,
Like and that was the whole draw for me
oh no,
of
I knew that.
Snyder's. No, I mean of Snyder's vision. Period. Was we were supposed to get Darkseid as the main villain at some point. Like this is the Justice League Thanos for those that don't know, and I would like to have seen that come to life because he's a very different character than Thanos is, but he's just as strong and devastating.
Yeah, I knew that wasn't gonna happen because this is an alteration to an original film. I don't know how long these parts are going to be.
I think each one's supposed to be an
hour.
Yeah, see that's where it gets interesting for me because you're filming enough content for you're filming a whole nother movie supposedly. If each episode's an hour, I don't know how you stretch those out, even with the deleted scenes added in. There has to be a ton of new content. Like I know the football scenes is old. The scene where Cyborg like jumps in front of the car, that's old. The scenes with Barry and Iris, that is new. I thought that was cool to see. Is it?
Yeah, that's that was cut.
I think the deal was that he wasn't, because they're not spending a lot of money on it, that he's not shooting a lot. Like most of that is just to finish up. Because he said a long time ago his assembly cut is like roughly four hours long, and then it gets cut down into a regular runtime.
Yeah, it's just polishing some stuff.
Yeah. So most of that was just to be fixing up, looking, and a few reshoots here and there.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure on how it's gonna do. I like you were saying, I love the characters. I am interested in seeing what this new version of the film looks like. Again, I do like the edits that I've been able to recognize. I have liked. I thought they were cool to an extent. Like you were saying about Zack Snyder, he is a director that is about style. I personally love his take on Watchmen. But all of his other films, 300, Guardians of the Owls.
He did Guardians of Ga'Hoole?
No. I think so.
The Owl movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Hold on, 1 second. Yeah.
Wait, what movie is that?
The Owls, the Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
Legends of the Guardians of Ga'Hoole or whatever. Like.
Yeah, the Owls of. Anyways, my point is that this movie when it was being released was for its how stylish it was, which is what he's known for. He's known for taking good looking shots, doing some stuff with slow motion, and he just so happened to be a big fan of DC, and that's how that whole snowball got rolling in the beginning. But I'm saying that to say he is not known for his storytelling. And I do look forward to seeing what he does with whatever it is they are doing, because they have had years of feedback to work on things. I don't know whether or not that's going to be implemented. I doubt it. But basically, due to the hype for this, it's going to be successful. They've had, like I said, years to listen to the fans, and maybe they were able to implement some changes that could, like the black suit thing was that's digitally that's a fan response that they're adding that in because people have been speculating and talking about it, and they're like, okay, we're gonna change the suit to black. Now, are we gonna get an explanation for that black suit, like you were saying? Probably, maybe a line like, yeah, it conducts sunlight better. Okay, cool, we out. Type deal. So yeah, I'm not super excited for it because I wasn't super excited for Justice League. I just hope to see some cool stuff that I enjoy, and that's how I've taken DC films since Batman v Superman. Like, I am not expecting this to be a groundbreaking, release, because it's not going to be. And not to say that they can't do it, they can't surprise us, but it's always going to live in the shadow of the MCU, and I'm sorry, it's not going to live up to that. Like, Warner Brothers does not, and my issue isn't even really with Zack Snyder. my main issue is with Warner Brothers when it comes to producing the DC films. Warner Brothers isn't going to allow it to be as good as the MCU. They're always going to step in and change some stuff and alter some stuff in a way in which it is not going to be what fans want, but they're going to be like, oh no, it's going to make money. And so they're going to force it into the film and change something about it to make it dumb.
You'd think that the studio that was behind both the Harry Potter series and Lord of the Rings would have been a little bit more capable of making better decisions when it comes to their superhero films.
Well, Warner Brothers did kind of ruin The Hobbit.
True. Very true.
See, Warner Brothers, and we've talked about on this podcast before. I call it, CJ calls it the old executive. I call it the old white guy. There's always somebody with that handles the money, and they're gonna be like, no, I've looked at the trends, I've seen what's popping. We just gonna do this instead. And sometimes directors are forced to go in a different direction due to studio interference, and their visions are altered and changed. And in a lot of the DC films, is that me?
I have no idea.
Okay, sorry about the interruption. In certain areas of DC films, you have seen that there have been forced changes or forced things that had to be added in, either when they're going back for reshoots or they have to add in more comedy because that's what's working in other films. I'm not against that. I'm not saying it can't work, but I think Warner Brothers gets in the way a lot more than other individuals do and have done because they're known for doing this. But again, going back to the Snyder Cut, I look forward to it. I'm happy that DC and Justice League are at least getting another chance, even though they had their original chance. It was what it was, but maybe through this we can branch out into other things. Like we're finally getting the Riddler again on screen, but maybe we can branch out into some more of the Wonder Woman mythos, some more of the Superman mythos, things like that, because they are going to have money flowing in. And that is pretty much my opinion on it.
Well, the one thing that I will say is that I'm interested in is how they build on the DCEU from here, because they are bringing Ben Affleck back for The Flash because they're doing Flashpoint. And folks, if you could, I'm sorry that the YouTube link won't be up, but if you could just see the look on both Shelby and Brandy's faces at the mention of that movie.
It's a cool opportunity because Michael Keaton's supposed to be in it too,
yeah,
right?
he's supposed to
only draw.
He's supposed to be the
don't get me wrong, I like Ezra Miller. I like Batfleck. I like Ezra Miller. I think he was better than the TV show Flash, but that's me. I like Batfleck personally. And I think that's going to be a cool premise if done correctly. But where do you go from that? We don't have the setup for it.
Yeah, you can't do the Amazons versus the Atlanteans. I don't think that's going to be feasible.
We just don't have the setup for that level of event. That's a big event. That is your Infinity War, in a nutshell, or it's on that scale to me. Like Flashpoint changed a lot in how just that changed everything about DC at that time. And to be doing a movie titled Flashpoint, it's just like, we not there yet. But if y'all can do it right, if you can pull it off, go for it.
Yeah, so we'll just have to kind of see what happens with the future of with the future of the DC films. But I think from what we've seen, at least the immediate future of like through 2021, 2022 should at least be interesting. I'm hopeful that these films are going to be good. I don't want any movie that gets these kind of promos to be bad. I don't see the benefit of any film being bad. I just hope that if they do try to build off a larger mythos and kind of go back to their original plan, that they incorporate what has been working for them recently of trying to, what's the best word here, of trying to be more about their superheroes than about the overall narrative, if that makes sense. Because I think that's what worked. I think focusing on Wonder Woman, focusing on Flash, focusing on Aquaman as individual heroes more than, oh, they're all part of this big, gigantic world, made those films more enjoyable.
I disagree, but I get what you're saying.
It allowed them to focus. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I'd love for them to be able to make it work. I just don't think that they have been, that they were doing that originally. Now, like you said, you can disagree with me, and if you want to, you can expound on that. But I
really quick, I'll just say, see, while that is cool, and this is, I don't have the answer. I don't work for Warner Brothers. I don't work for DC. I'm just giving my opinion as a fan. DC is not really set up to work on that model. That is a model that worked for Marvel because their stories are more deeply connected to who those characters are. For example, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. You can have half the movie as Peter Parker. You can have half the movie as Spider-Man. In DC, though, to me personally, that does not work. No one cares about Clark Kent. No one cares about Diana Prince. No one cares about Bruce Wayne. Their alter egos aren't the draw for DC fans, and they haven't been for 80 years. It is them as these characters. And with them as these characters, the bigger universe has always been like a part of it and a part of those characters. And I know what you're saying is, yeah, you could do a story about Flash in Central City. You can do the Wonder Woman story. You can do the Aquaman story. For the first film, yeah, I think that works beautifully. But then continuing that story, Arthur Curry is left in the background. We're now dealing with Aquaman, King of Atlantis, and how he interacts with the world.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm saying that I want them to continue to build off of the characters that they established in those films, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want, if they're going to kind of build up and make the larger universe, they need to make sure that, like, the character traits that we learned about in Aquaman, the character traits we learned about in Shazam, the character traits we learned about in Wonder Woman, they need to be there in those characters in the future.
I mean, I agree. I just think it is harder to tell these more personal stories within the realm of the DCU than, say, like a Spider-Man Far From Home. Like, yes, you can do it, but the question always becomes, well, where was Superman at this time? Or where was the Flash? They could have got there. It is not the same. And I like the idea that they were originally pitching for the Flash and like Cyborg having a movie together. Or when they were introducing like Green Lantern, which was supposed to happen this year, funny enough, Green Lantern was supposed to be like the buddy cop thing or whatever type deal, which would have been fine because there's enough of a mythos for Green Lantern to do that. But it can't just be like Green Lantern stays on Earth and, has to fight one individual villain again, just because the stories of DC aren't set up that way. And that's why I think it will always be hard to translate these characters to film, because once you get past the origin story, you're now in much deeper waters. Is that?
I think the thing that also kind of goes with the issues I think they will fundamentally have for a while is just fundamentally their publisher has had is they're really good on events and origins, but as far as characters, whether alter ego or not, sadly they're slipping, and I think that's why their villains are way more interesting than their heroes. Other than your I guess your only Wonder Woman, than like the few heroes. But that's why, like you were saying, you care about Peter Parker and Spider-Man is because, not to compare them, but Marvel has the better heroes and sometimes the lacking villains. So I think you can build off of.
Well, that's a little bit of a stretch
you can build more off of that. Like, I really don't think. I think that's why I pretty much enjoy both, because it's like what I don't get from one, I get for the other. Like, Marvel doesn't have Crisis on Infinite Earths. They don't have Identity Crisis. They don't have like Flashpoint, like the real big grandiose like kind of thing. So I think they try to do all of this like world building and interconnectivity. I think is because like, what are you really gonna do to get somebody interested in Barry Allen? Like, no, you want to see Flash run around all the time, but 90 to 120 minutes, you got to do a little bit with that. I don't really trust them enough. I think they should just do random things. Don't try and, not saying they should be like Elseworlds with the stuff, but like don't try and connect stuff. Just tell your story. Be weird like Birds of Prey. Be goofy like Shazam or Aquaman. Really just do it versus trying to like be super serious or try and like think like, oh, we need to figure out what to do to get like the best like or the most amount of money. Like they just do the stuff. People show up. And then also fans like think they know what they want, but also if you show them something that they didn't ask for, chances are they'll like that.
They'll be like, oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Like all of Phase 1 of the MCU, like before like the Phase 1 movies that came out, like people like me who has read all those books, like I knew who they were, but you pretty much knew like your X-Men, your all of those characters first. So I think they DC just has to stop trying to take that approach, and Warner Brothers needs to stop trying to push for that, because you can like, oh, I get what you're saying. Like people didn't really know like the gold in those characters until they were given to them. So now that's now what everybody wants to see. All they want to ask, where's Iron Man coming, and he's clearly not gonna show up. So that's what I'm saying. Like I think if they just throw stuff out there and just like kind of trust the filmmakers, but also be either you're gonna be faithful to the source, or if you're not, like kind of like Birds of Prey, they just went all the way like off the books with it, but still do it where it's kind of like, all right, there's still a little bit of respect in there. So that's I don't trust them enough to do anything. They might give me another Joker for all I know, and I'm gonna be upset. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say in closing, it is just the approach for DC has to be different, because like you were saying, with Marvel, these were characters that not a lot of people the masses weren't familiar with. But unfortunately, Superman has the second most recognized symbol in the world. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, these are ancient characters that people have known about for a long time or have seen in some form of media one way or the other. Not saying that they didn't with Marvel, but they have an idea of the concept. So they, like, I agree with everything you were saying. They have to take kind of a different approach for it to be more successful, but they've been making money anyways. But yeah, that is my final take on that Snyder cut. We had to go a little deep on that, but yeah, I don't know why you thought we were going to be arguing about that.
Because back when the main reason why I thought the argument was going to happen was because you both had wildly different takes back when Batman versus Superman dropped. Okay, Shelby, you were in full on defense mode.
Batman versus Superman, then we can get feisty.
No, we'll hold off on it. It came out in 2016. It's old news. We don't need to go into the old war chest. But I thought that maybe the controversy would still be there. But I guess the fireworks didn't happen the way that I thought. But that's okay.
I told you, CJ. I went to war. I lost people in that war. in these films. I said, CJ, I've been a DC fan for a long time. I had to explain to somebody why these were good characters. And they're like, oh, I had no idea. And I'm like, yeah, there's stuff outside of the movies that exists. But anyways, so yeah, I know I know how to pick my battles. I can tell who's a friend and who's a foe. And she was throwing out knowledge that had your eyes like, what? I ain't even they transformed this whole time. I ain't even know. Oh. So no, this good people right here.
Right, and that's another reason why I want to make sure we had Brandy on, because I know she knew way more about DC stuff than I do. So, I'm glad.
Yeah, that's my life.
I'm glad that you were able to join us. We did not get the chance to talk about the video game trailers, but I mean, I'm excited for they look like they're going to be interesting, but I feel like that's
we'll talk about them another time.
Yeah, that's for another day. The big thing was the movie trailers. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see what we get in the next couple of years. Hopefully, we are able to go back to the movies sooner rather than later, and we can actually enjoy being in a theater again, and not have to worry about getting horrifically sick. But we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully we'll be able to see Wonder Woman before the end of the year. That's kind of my hope.
Yeah.
Before the end of what year? This year?
Yeah, this year. I'm hoping that maybe they do a Disney Plus thing where they're like, hey, we'll release this on HBO Max if y'all willing to pay more. I'd be willing to.
Yeah, I'd be willing to.
I'd be willing to. Like, there's certain
even
movies,
though I want to see it in theaters, but at this point,
at this point, like, give me something, please. Like, I know there's no way that you guys spent more money on this than was spent on Tenet. So let's just get this out to us in whatever way you can, and we'll pay. Just please let us see something.
I just thought of a great joke, but anyways, that statement was wonderful. I'll pay, please. Let me see. Anyways, before we go, Brandy, do you have anything you like to shout out, or is there anything you want to just any final mentions before we go?
Anything you want to plug?
No, just start reading. If people read comics, read the comics. The Long Halloween.
I was going to ask, what would you recommend to people? But you said The Long Halloween. Anything else?
Yeah, that's the main one. Most recently, I hope if this is what they're going to do for Wonder Woman specifically, between her and Barbara and Minerva, I think they're going to draw a little bit from the Rebirth relationship they had with Greg Rucka. Who was the artist? Liam Sharp, I believe. I have to shout out both teams. I hope they do that. Because they really do. I think I was really excited about their relationship specifically because it's very complicated. It's very rich.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty much. And I guess Flashpoint, even though we're probably not going to get anything from that book.
It's still a fun read, and you can also watch the DCEU version. I mean, not DCEU, DCAU, yeah. Which is a whole other thing that we'll have to get into another time. But Brandy, before I go, are you working on anything? Are you publishing anything recently, or are you still are you taking a break from that as of right now?
No, nothing fun on the side. Just trying to finish up my last semester of law school, so all the fun stuff has to be on the
Understood.
side.
Understood. Well, guys.
Not writing anything.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on with us. We hope
we'll
hope to have you back again at some point. Everyone, thank you so much for listening today. As always, please like, share, subscribe, tell some people, submit a review, do whatever you can to promote this podcast. We really appreciate it.
If there's anything you'd like us to discuss, feel free to leave a comment. We're happy to take suggestions.
And then also follow us on social media. Again, if you want to help us run that social media, I am completely open. So please.
I got you, brother. We'll talk. We'll set up a meeting. Now we'll talk about it.
Sounds good. Well, guys, that's gonna do it for us. I'm CJ.
I'm Shelby.
And this is A Fan's Perspective, signing out.
We'll catch you next time.